Hello everyone, I have a 2021 Dodge Ram 2500. Gonna put some new front brakes on it, and I seen one video on it on YouTube, so I thought I would make another. So I got the tire off and here's the assembly. The first thing I do is I go up into the engine compartment and I loosen my brake fluid cap. And the reason you do that is you have to push your brake calipers back in, and that forces the fluid back up into the reservoir. So you have to have that loose so that it can push the air out. So we're gonna go back down over here. It's actually a pretty simple job. It's ready to go. So I'm gonna, there's a little clippy holding the brake line here. I'm gonna unsnap that and loosen that up. And then there's two bolts. There's one right here, and there's one down here. They're 5/8 bolts, and you just remove those and the caliper slides off. And then I just take it and set it up on top here. I got the brake caliper pulled off, and I have it sitting up on top here. These are the plungers for the brakes. The first thing I do, I'm going to take an old brake pad and set it up in here, and I'm going to use a couple of C-clamps on here, and I'm going to push this plunger back in so that it's flat. And then after I do that, I have the brake pad pulled off. They came off here. And before you can put the brake pad back on, they have these snappy clips that come off. I have new ones in the box, and I'm going to replace them. I do one at a time in each side to make sure I get the right brackets in the right place. Okay, I got my plungers pushed back in with my C-clamps, so I can take those off. When you get them in, it should be not 100% flush, but they pressed in as far as they're gonna go. And I also put my little clippies on. Like I said, do one at a time. Make sure you have it's got little flanges here that go on the outside, but pull one clip off, match it up, and then put it on. I use a large screwdriver and kind of tap them on, then I took a hammer. If this was done, I tapped it up, just to make it a little bit easier, and it's a little tougher in the back, but person can do it. So the next thing is to put the brake pad back on. So it takes a little bit of finagling to get those brake pads back on. That's what they look like if you get them on properly installed. The next thing you want to do, you have two pins. You have one here and you have one down here. You're going to pull those out. They pop off like so. Okay, you're going to take that pin out, wipe it out, get a rag, wipe off the old grease, and then I have some new brake lubricant. Then I'm going to re-grease these and put them back in. A lot of people leave this step out, but it's very important that you keep those pins lubed, because if they don't stay lubed, they get rusty and they can bind up on you and your brakes will quit working. So here we have the pin that's re-greased, and we're gonna, I put the bottom one back in already, and I'm going to show you this one here. It goes back into the hole, and you'll notice some grease kind of oozing out. I like to wipe that excess grease off a little bit. Grease and brakes don't really mix very well. And this cap, you push it in there, and it's gonna just kind of pop back on once it gets lined up. Pop back on there. Okay, so you have your new brakes installed, you got your pins greased, you're ready to put your calipers back on. Almost done. Okay, so I had the bolts back in, bolts in here, the bolt in here, snugged up, put my clip back on the brake line hose with the ABS line, all that's in place. The only thing I have left to do is I'm going to torque these nuts down, these bolts down to the specification. And the only thing I could find on it, it says it's 55 foot-pounds. So I'm going to torque those bolts back down and we'll be ready to put the tire back on. I hope this helps somebody in doing this job. A couple other things. Don't forget to put your brake fluid cap back on. Otherwise, it's going to push all the brake fluid out when you're driving down the road. Some people like to use brake parts cleaner. You can spray it on your rotor and clean your rotor and spray it on some of the parts if they need it. I didn't feel like my truck needed it. There wasn't anything gooey. It was all pretty clean. I know everyone has a different way of doing things. This is how I do it. I change my own oil, repair the brakes if I can, if it's not too complicated. This is a pretty easy job. You can actually do probably both front brakes in a couple of hours. Anyway, I hope this helps and have a great day.